damn it! And here we go. And we're back from outer space. Except for just here in Houston. Howdy, y'all. Well, Chad is feeling under the weather. So I'm just going to fill in for a little bit. At the same time, I'm going to be smoking some Stumbo's Num Nums. Yes, Stumbo's Num Nums. When you absolutely positively have to care about what in the hell you're smoking. And all you want to smoke is Virginia. Nobody here. Alright, so Chad's feeling under the weather. Not sure if anybody's going to show up. He says it's nothing serious. I'll take him at his word. We'll pack the hell out of this pipe. We might be here a while. Howdy. I see one person watching. Nashville, hello. So tasty. In case y'all are wondering, that is the VR0121. Yes, Matthew, Chad did end early. The volunteer, oh, you're on your phone. That says Stumbo's Num Nums. And the pipe, which I made go from a block into this. Okay, somebody else drilled it. And there's some minor imperfections. And a few places that I'm not exactly happy with, like that one right there, where there's obviously a crack that goes from the inside to the outside. So sad about that. But it doesn't affect the way it smokes. At least not that I can tell. Thank you, Willie. It's a big old pipe, though. This is almost the same size as the General Cobb from Missouri Meerschaum. I need to clean it up a little bit here on the rim, as you can see. That's just because it hangs like that, and so the smoke comes back across that. I need to just clean that up, but smoke's great, so whatever. So I figured if Chad's not feeling well enough to continue his live stream, I'd continue the tailgate for a little bit. Hey, why not? I was already here, still set up. It's 2 hours till cane rod. We got a lot of time to kill. Anything y'all want to talk about? Put it on up there in chat. We can talk about just about anything. Remember, this channel is not a safe place. So for anybody who happens to be easily offended or under the age of 21, sorry about your luck. I'm not going to be the channel you follow. And, well, hey. Oh, I'm always on Martin's. I'm definitely on Martin's channel. How about them Houston Texans? God, what are they? Last place in the NFL? Or is it next to last? It's kind of hard for me to figure out. Not that I rightly care. I am a Raiders fan. Come on now. Raiders are 5th place in the AFC. Because the Broncos look like they're going to end up taking that division. Mostly their defense. Yeah, I'm really enjoying that. But when I say their defense is probably going to do it for them, what I'm talking about is look at the points that they've scored this year versus the points that their opponents have scored this year. Of course, they are playing a last place spot, so they should have it easy. The Bills, well, the Bills do have a really good player from out of Texas. Howdy, Boris. I would say Huva Ilta, but shoot, it's probably tomorrow morning already for you. So that's what? Huva Huaminta? Well, Willie, at this point in time, the only team that is undefeated is Arizona. And let's look at the facts there. I pretty much called that before the season started. Arizona's going to have a good year. They have one of the best receivers on the planet. They've got a decent quarterback, and they've got a strong defense. It is going to be hard to pry any kind of a win away from Arizona. Can they be beaten? Yes. Will they be beaten? Jury's out on that one. Jury is way out on that one. Matthew, Denver might be overrated, but what I'm looking at that tells me that they're probably going to win that division is their defense. Their defense is making good teams look stupid. The point differential. Unless it's Kansas City, which, man, it's hard to discount Mahomes, but if you make him throw 75 times a game because he's playing from behind, and you've got some really good cornerbacks and really good safeties, there's a good shot that you can expose them. You got to keep up with Cheetah, but as long as you put somebody over the top of him, you can either eliminate or at least mitigate how much damage he can do to you. I think teams are finally figuring out the Kansas City play style, and they're gearing their teams to play against it. Howdy, Dan. Great to see you, sir. Let's be realistic. Tom Brady and Tampa Bay exposed so bad Kansas City in the Super Bowl. And I think if you're looking at teams right now, you can say, you know what, Tom Brady he's on the downside. He might be going back the other direction. But Patrick Mahomes is still on the upswing. What did they do to eliminate Patrick Mahomes? What it was they made him throw a bunch. And then they picked him off a few times. Oh, the Tatuaje Skinny Monster box. The box set. I actually thought it was exceptional. But it kind of depends upon which cigars are in that box. Now they are Lanceros, so if you're let the lawn mowing crews leave the neighborhood. If you are a wet smoker, in other words, your cigars tend to be a little soggy when you're done, then the Lanceros are going to be difficult for you. I suggest you keep your pipe tool handy, and that center little wire piece is going to be a great tool. It's a great tool for cigars, honestly, because you can always ram it through and unplug where it might have been absorbing moisture from your mouth. Wow, that's a lot of smoke. Oh, okay. So you take that wire, and let's say that that's where you're smoking from on the cigar. You put it right there on the end and you wiggle it. You try to keep it straight, and you just twist it a little bit until it goes in all the way to the cigar. Then you just twist it a little bit as you pull it back out. That should relieve enough that it still, you can get air through it. That was kind of a hit there, Boris. That was kind of a hit. Eden, yes. If you feel like the draw on your cigar is a little bit too stiff, that will work well. And there's 3 things that will cause that from time to time. One is that you've got a vein of one of the cigar leaves right in the center of your cigar. It happens from time to time. Maybe the person who was doing the bunching didn't take the time to take all the veins out. Every once in a while also, while in the process of bunching, you'll end up with a leaf that will fold, and instead of being straight on, it will kind of fold over and create a wrinkle, which as you're smoking and the tar comes back across that, yes, there is some tar in a cigar, it will start to plug up right there. And if you can push that wire through that hole, that spot, which is basically a knot, it will open that air hole and allow the air to pull through, which allows you to smoke it again. And then, of course, if it's wet, it's going to plug up anyways. And I'm a wet smoker, so it's really difficult for me to find Lanceros that I really, really like. Yeah, Eden, that's actually going to be a really good box. It's 14 Lanceros. I've smoked all of them as they've come out. Okay, Lancero. Traditionally, 6 inches long and no bigger around than a 48 ring gauge. A Robusto is a 50. Traditionally. Could be a 48. Lanceros are sometimes as skinny as a 40 ring gauge. And because they take on basically the same principles as a knight's lance, long and skinny, they got called a Lancero. I'm not sure why officially other than that, but that's what it is. Right. Now, here's the cool thing about Lanceros. You get more wrapper per cigar amount, or per tobacco amount. And because you get about 90% of the flavor that you actually can taste from the wrapper, you will actually get a lot more flavor. Right, so a Lonsdale is shorter and a little bit fatter than a Lancero. Lonsdales tend to be 4.5 to 5 inches, depending upon what location is rolling. Right, so there's a lot of things that really are going to make people wonder what in the hell they're talking about. We could talk cigar shapes for 2 hours and everybody would still just be scratching their heads going, what in the hell is he talking about? Eden, I've never used Cigar King. I've always stuck with either Cigars International or JR Cigars. But there are a few sites that ship out of Sweden. And Sweden's normally fairly reputable. And there's a couple of sites that ship out of Japan, and Japan is extremely reputable, but that's because of their legal system. You are guilty until proven innocent, and fraud is one of those crimes they don't play around with. So you're not going to find very many, if any, cigars that are coming from Japan that are counterfeit, just because it's not worth the little bit of money you might make in the short run, because all it takes is enough people saying this guy's counterfeiting cigars and selling them out of Japan, and Japan goes and finds them and throws their ass in jail, and you sit in jail until you can prove you're innocent. Which might be really, really damn hard while you're stuck in jail. Because how are you going to prove that you got your cigars from Cuba when you're in jail and you can't actually contact Cuba from that location? Honestly, Eden, I haven't needed to use any of those sites except for Cuban cigars in quite some time, and that's probably my downfall, because I haven't really kept up with it. It might not be Sweden. It might be Switzerland. Probably Switzerland. I'm sorry. I might have misspoke and said Sweden. Try Switzerland. I know it's one of them SW ones. Which country is neutral on all the wars? Switzerland, right? Their flag is the Red Cross. Shoot me here? Yeah, that's probably it. Howdy, Todd. Well, if you have a friend in the USA who can proxy for you, I would suggest using Cigars International or JR Cigars. You can also go through Neptune cigars. Neptune, as the guy who carries the trident, spelled exactly the same. Yeah. Cigar Bid is owned by Cigars International. And yes, I have used Cigar Bid. I haven't used it for pipe tobacco because I could actually get it cheaper by going through smoking pipes than I could through Cigar Bid. I tried it. I was like $3 cheaper across the board when I went through smoking pipes than when I went through Cigar Bid for pipe tobacco. But I'm not buying cigars from smoking pipes. Most of theirs are acid. Well, about a week ago, I'm not a big fan of acid cigars. To me, that floral infusion thing just tastes horrible. But the cigars are so well made. I mean, if you're okay with the infused cigars, they're phenomenal cigars. Oh, not a problem. Eden, you take care. We will definitely see you later. Remember, if you're up, I know it's going to be late for you, real early for you, really. Martin's going to be on later tonight, right after Cane Rod. So, just, if you're up, hey, we'd love to see you there. Woo, 50 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm freezing at that temperature, Boris. And Boris, you're laughing at me when I'm sitting here with a stocking cap on, it's below 60, and I'm going like, God, I'm cold. I know you are. You don't have to apologize about it. If I lived where you lived, I'd be laughing at this guy in Texas who's complaining about 60 degrees Fahrenheit too. I'd be surprised if I'm not like a national treasure there in Finland just to make y'all feel like it can't be that cold. Come on. What's this goofy bastard complaining about? 60 degrees. It's cold. What do you got to do when it gets cold? I'll tell you what I'll do when it gets cold. I'll put another layer on. Of course, I say this to Boris, whereas Boris, of course, fully understands. I'll get out in the coldest weather that I can find and still smoke a big pipe or a cigar. But it never gets that cold here, so I'm stuck with what I got. Of course, it never gets as hot in Finland as it gets here in Houston, so while I'm enjoying 100-degree weather here in Houston with 99.9% humidity, and Boris is sitting there going like, you couldn't drag me outside in that kind of temperature. That's when I get back at Boris. Ooh, damn. I figure you know it's too cold to drink a beer when you have to keep your beer in an ice chest with an iguana heater rock to keep it from freezing. At that point, switch to something that's 100 proof or better. It's not going to freeze. So there you go. I will remind y'all that I have been to some places in Maine during the winter that it was cold enough that if you wiped your nose, you also destroyed your mustache because it would crystallize and break off as you wiped across. And that's cold in anybody's book. And I have been in weather where it was cold enough that I could say, I believe that temperature is negative 52. And you ask, negative 52, but is that Fahrenheit or Celsius? Well, it doesn't matter. At negative 52, I believe Celsius and Fahrenheit actually match temperatures. But quite often I do have people from up north. They come down here to Houston and they wonder how come we even say that it gets cold. And at 40 degrees here in Houston, while 40 degrees Fahrenheit doesn't sound all that cold to a lot of you who have really seen some cold, it's the 90% humidity that's still out there. At 90% humidity, at 40 degrees, it soaks right through your skin, right into your bones, and it just hurts. It's like you can't get warm. Oh, negative 40 is the same in Celsius and Fahrenheit? Okay, well, the coldest I was ever at was negative 52 Fahrenheit. It was in Alaska, on the north end of Alaska, on an oil rig. That's when I stopped going offshore. I was like, nah, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. Oh, just the memories of it brings chills back. Worse chills than when I ate those damn spicy peanuts. Some of y'all would remember. It was nice and warm outside, and there I was shivering. Of course, I didn't know you could eat one peanut and call it good. Howdy, Mike. Great to see you, sir. Had I known that I could have ate one peanut out of that whole little package of each level and called it good, then I'd have been like, okay, well, that works. Negative 43 with a negative 51 wind chill. Whew, that's brutal. Now, Boris, that is one sport I was never any good at, skiing. I could ride a snowboard. Now, I'm not going to say I was riding a snowboard like Shaun White and doing all the tricks and all of that. I mean, I was just pretty good at knuckle dragging, either the front side or the back side, and getting down the damn slope. I didn't do tricks and stunts, but I couldn't figure out how to angle my feet right to keep the skis underneath me. If I was going pretty good, eventually my feet would go the wrong direction as far as how you hold your legs together, and one ski would go one way and one ski would go the other, and there I'd end up with a pulled groin, and I was like, nah, this ain't happening. No. No good at skiing. And now with the jacked up knee, there's no chance you'll ever get me on a damn snowboard. After a day of riding a snowboard down the slopes, my knees were hurting. I can't even imagine trying to do it with a jacked up knee. I might get down the bunny slope without going like, oh fuck, this is over, I'm done. I mean, I'm a fairly tough guy. I can put up with a lot of crap, but I'm not intentionally going to go out there and tear myself up just to prove that I can. Those days are long past. 47 years old, I don't heal up as fast as I used to back when I could do all that other fun stuff. It is true that a temp is a temp. That is very true. But if you have a low temp and a high humidity, it's closer to being in water of that temperature than it is to being in air of that temperature. And 50-degree water will kill you. 50-degree air is pretty nice. So that's where that humidity thing actually does, at least in my opinion, show up. Heated toolboxes. Well, I know where you'd find me if I was hanging out with Mike during the middle of winter. You'd find me curled up in a damn toolbox. That sounds just right for me. That's true, Boris. We definitely talk temperature a lot more than we do humidity. But yeah, high humidity during a cold spell is just as bad as swimming around in extra cold water. It'll lower your core temperature so much faster. That's been proven to me. Not that I needed to have it proven to me. way back when I was doing Ironman competitions. I was training for one of the Ironman events that was going to be on the West Coast, and you know, I thought, you know, I'll just get out there and swim that swim portion. And they were like, no, you got to get yourself a wetsuit. Nah, I'm good. And the guys that were helping to train me, they got a pool, and they filled it full of water, and then they floated a bunch of ice over the top of it, and they were like, yeah, go ahead, swim. 5 miles, swim it. By the time I made 1 mile, I was so lethargic, I could barely function. And they were like, well, that's the temperature of that damn water out there in California. You're not going to just do that without a wetsuit. So reluctantly, I got a wetsuit. Well, Dan, luckily I have never had to experience changing a flat tire in the middle of Saskatchewan in the winter. And hopefully I can avoid that for the rest of my life. Right, so Boris, you understand that pretty well, because you're right there along the coast and you're getting that breeze coming in off the water, and it's dragging humidity with it. Whereas up in northern Finland, there's not a body of water surrounding it. I mean, you're getting a little bit of it from the wind going across the ice and snow, but even still, that humidity is more locked in than it is out there on the ocean, where it never freezes solid. At least to my knowledge, it's never frozen solid. It might have. You would know better than me. You tell me that it has, I'm going to back up and agree with you. But like I said, to my knowledge, it hasn't. But you get around that north side of Alaska, and that water literally freezes solid. You can get out there and walk on it. No problem. If you want to see the water for real, you got to take yourself an auger, because you're going to have to drill a hole. You better have a good long auger too, because it ain't going to be a simple hole. You're going to dig for a while. It's amazing the stupid things that us Texas boys will do to go fishing in the middle of winter in Alaska. Should have been smarter and built myself one of those little heater shanties to go ice fishing in. Nope. I wasn't that smart. Go fish for about 30 minutes, run back all up the ladders and all that, up into the rig, warm up for about 2 hours, go back, bust holes back in the ice, drop a line back in, fish for about 30 minutes. When you're bored, you're bored. What can I tell you? An electrician out on those rigs in Alaska, normally you're bored. Howdy, Ron. Great to see you, sir. So Chad said he wasn't feeling well, got a little under the weather, had to call it quits for the day. That's fine. He said it's nothing serious, but y'all keep him in your thoughts. Sometimes the little things can turn into big things rather rapidly. Big Country, yep sir, I am back. Howdy, how are you doing? I tried to let everybody know I would open back up the tailgating when Chad was saying he wasn't feeling well. And again, I'm not trying to steal anybody's time. If anybody wants to run a couple of hours of a live feed just to hang out with people, I fully expect somebody's going to eventually beat me to these tailgates. They're going to say, hey, I can do that. I can do it better than he can. You probably can. Won't hurt my feelings none at all. Boris, I do agree with you. You can get used to the temperature. It's a gradual thing. Your body does kind of acclimatize to it. It's a little harder here in Houston where it's 16 one day and it's 45 the next, and you're going like, well, it's never going to get back down to freezing now. And I have experienced the darkness of winter. That oil rig was up past the Arctic Circle, and we did not get but maybe 5 minutes worth of sunlight in the month I was there. Yeah, 5 minutes. I think they call it a circadian rhythm, where your body is kind of used to a daytime, nighttime thing. Your circadian rhythm gets chewed to shit and back. And on that, I feel for Boris very heavily, because I understand that's some crap to put your body through, especially on a regular basis. Big Country. Enjoy that downpour and that Bayou Flake. I know I would be enjoying the Bayou Flake. I gotta step inside this door for just a second. I'll be right back. Pipe cleaners, because I'm getting a little gurgle and it's starting to pull back some nastiness of flavor. And well, one of the easiest, quickest ways to take care of that is just to ram a pipe cleaner down through there. Wet on both ends. But it doesn't taste like ass anymore, so that's a good thing. I guess that's part of what I love about Houston. Even the shortest day, you've still got a good 8.5, 9 hours of sunshine. It still feels like a day. I know y'all guys up north, y'all hate me for being able to say that right now, but I like warm weather. What can I tell you? And after watching how long Mike's been hurting from that last time he was shoveling snow, that just gives me one more reason to not want to shovel snow. Sue me. I don't want to do it, and I don't have to do it, so I'm not going to do it. Todd, the Avanes aren't bad. I mean, they're not typically going to be registered as a great cigar, but they're not bad. I've smoked worse. Because when you work in a cigar shop, if they're saying, hey, we can get you these cigars for this price and blah, 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 and you say, well, give me one, let me smoke it. That way we can put it on the order or not. Some of the cigars that some of these retailers are trying to foist on you are horrible. I mean, some of them will tar up within the first 5 puffs or so, and you're sitting there going like, God, this is nasty. Some of them are just damn near unsmokable. But, I mean, Avantis are at least smokable. I mean, are they going to compete with a Bahique? No. But very little does. So, as long as you like them, that's what counts. All right, Toby, I'll let you in. Damn cat. Here in a little bit, he'll be right back around because somebody will let him out the back door. Damn cat's retarded. But he's a lovable cat, so... And he's old as hell, so whatever. Well, damn. Time to replace a flint. Yep, this one's all worn down to nothing. Damn it, damn it. Oh well. Wonder if I can get it back in there just enough to spark this thing back up. I should be able to. it goes. Whew. Eden, we don't talk about shaving around here. I do it more than anybody else, really. Not true. I think Mike shaves quite often. Well, I'll say it like this. There's really no place on the planet that is perfect. Just find what works for you and stick with it. I'm not asking what he's shaving. Might be time for that proctology exam. Hell if I know. Look, it just doesn't grow. Eden, if I didn't look like my dad so much, I would shave. Because Holly likes me better shaved than she likes me scruffy. But she likes me to not look like my dad, so I don't. As much as I can afford to not. Oh, we're not kicking anybody out of the YTPC. Charlie shaves. Pretty sure of that. Andrew Sorigliano, I've never seen him with a beard. But it seems to be the trend that most people that smoke a pipe shave rarely. Yeah, Iden, sorry, I keep saying Iden. Yeah, Eden, I have psoriasis, so if I don't shave, it gets scales of skin under here, and it itches like crazy. And when I do shave, it's red and raw, and it's horrible. So I let it grow out until I just can't stand it anymore, and then I shave it off, and then I let it grow back out. Well, Todd, that's where you exfoliate, except for not really exfoliate. You just remove all the hair from your face. That's normally called shaving. Y'all should have seen it when I was in the Army, though. That was funny. I'd walk up to the mirror, set the razor to my skin, pull it away from my skin, and say, "Yep, I shaved." These other guys were sitting there carving their face all up with those stupid razors they would give you. Just never could get a good... Well, Boris, one thing there. I have learned that no matter how epic a woman's facial hair, you should never compliment them on it. Come on, Dad. That's funny, though. I can't let my hair grow too long. It bugs me, and I'm back to that 2x4 cut that I like. Mike, there is definitely an art to it. Unfortunately, I'm more of a... I see everything as a nail because all the tools I've got look like hammers kind of a guy. I butcher it real well. By the way, howdy sir, glad to see you there. Mike, I would love to be able to say I would not have skin issues, but because I have psoriasis, I have skin issues. When I shave regularly, if I have a job as a boiler inspector, I'm going to be forced to shave regularly. I will still end up with flakes that just peel off my face. So lovely to look at. So normally I look myself in the mirror when I'm done shaving, and then I go ahead and I try to just destroy those skin pieces that are coming up. Basically, I could use sandpaper. Probably hurt a little less if I did. It's not the blade. Blades I'm good with. In fact, I've got a couple of straight razors upstairs. I never bring them outside. They are only for use of shaving, though. I have those so finely sharpened that it's a miracle I don't end up just destroying my whole head. But, with psoriasis, you get what you got. And that's about all the best I can tell you. Sucks, it's a skin condition, but all it really means is that I've got an overactive immune system, and it says, hey look, those skin cells look like they're doing something wrong, let's attack them. Yay. Mike, I mean, I would if I had a job right now where I needed to actually worry about it, but with no job at present, I find I can really not worry about the extra 20 that I need to spend, and I can spend it on things that are fun, like tobacco. That's 2 cigars. I like cigars. I'm only partially attached to my face. But I have found that if I use a product called grandmother's lye soap. Now, it's hell on the razor, because that stuff will literally pit a blade. So you got to clean your razors off extremely well right afterwards. But if I use the lye soap, it does a lot better. I don't have as many raised patches, and the skin looks a lot better afterwards. But as the beard and mustache get longer and longer, it can only do so much, because the hair will actually hold the skin cells from being able to lift and flake off as a normal skin cell would, until they become, well, I've had some that I've pulled out that were silver dollar in size. Yeah, I know that sounds so appetizing to be talking about such things, but when you're pulling a skin section whole that's the size of this leaf out of your beard, that's what that does. That's what psoriasis does. At least that's what it does to me. Actually, Mike, it has more glycerins than the average soaps nowadays, so it will actually moisturize a lot better. I've put a lot of time in looking this stuff up, because when it really first started coming out, I was already in the Army, and they had me going to the damn doctor every 3 days because of how it was looking. But when I shave all the time, and if I wash my face with the lye soap, it does a lot better. Mostly because the acids in the lye will get underneath the skin flakes, and it will help to remove them in a more natural manner than any of the other soaps I've found. And I've tried a bunch of them. I wish it wasn't true. I wish it didn't. If we're a fifth, we'd all get drunk. Mike, you're right. I have probably never tried the exact blend that you're sending me. But I know that when I get a job, I'm going to be stuck shaving every day. And I know that my method works for $5 every 2 months. But I got to shave. That probably works pretty good there, Big Country. Oh, at least they might be able to get close enough to you before they smell your breath. So, Mike, I do have happy skin. I just have a really angry immune system. Y'all think I'm angry from time to time. You should see what my immune system does to me. Good Lord. I have psoriasis on one foot. It looks like athlete's foot. I went into a doctor to see if they could get something done about it. And they were like, oh, well, it's athlete's foot. Here, put this cream on it. Cream didn't do shit. Went back. They were like, this is not possible. I said, I have psoriasis. The doctor said, oh, shit. Here's a pumice stone. Grind the shit off your foot. That's the best I can tell you, sir. I was like, well, fuck. Okay. It's not that I'm trying to disagree with you, Mike. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that I've got product that actually works, at least until my beard gets so long that it will actually hold the skin cells together to the point where I'm literally pulling off chunks. And then it's like, at that point, it itches so bad and I can't stand it anymore, and then I'm just like, fucking shave it off, get rid of it so that I can get down below those layers and I can get the soap all over everything, and that takes care of it. It was way worse before I could even grow a beard, because, I mean, there's no way you're walking up to a girl and you look like you're a leper and you got chunks of skin falling off of you. Big country, there are some chemicals and such from places that are not approved in the United States that work so much better. There is a cream that is $2 a tube, lasts about 6 months. I can get it down in Mexico. I cannot get it in the United States because it is not approved inside the United States. But it works better than anything else I've ever come across. And when I had a job that had me down near the Mexican border, I used to pick up a tube every time I went, which was about every 3 months. Awesome stuff. But you can't get it inside the United States. But in the United States, they'll try and sell you creams that are $80 and last a month. Or sometimes I kind of look forward to the United States doing what some of these other countries have. And then I start thinking about what the rest of it entails. And I go, no. I mean, if it entails that my tobacco prices are 3 times higher than they are right now for the same amount of product, I immediately say no. I don't really much care for that. I think I'll figure out a way to go around these high medical prices. Eden, I'm hoping it doesn't. Because if prices here in the United States flat out tripled overnight to become a lot closer to what they are in Canada. I fully believe that there would be a full-on revolution about to happen, and that's the kind of thing where a lot of people get killed, and I'm hoping that that would be avoided, at least until long after I'm gone. Oh, Mike, it's not my beard that itches. It's the skin. I wish it was the beard. I wish it was because of the beard. If it was because of the beard, I would worry about it. But it only itches where the psoriasis is coming up in a clump. And I'm lucky. I don't have as bad a psoriasis as some people. I've seen some that it's horrible. Probably right, Mike. You probably are exactly right. But like I said, this is all temporary while I'm not working. Once I go back to work, I know they're going to say, you have to be clean shaven. And I'm going to say, not a problem. Howdy, Bob. How are you doing today, sir? Time to pick a stick. Too many to choose from, Eden. Too many to choose from. $7.14 on the East Coast. Go with number 3. Whichever one number 3 was. Say you got 8. We'll go down to split the difference of 10. Call it 3. Go. 7 left. Don Pepin Garcia. Good stick. That's also from the My Father company. I've smoked many a Don Pepin. Not specifically that you'd be a drinker, but pairs pretty damn well with scotch. If not, well, a good glass of hot English breakfast style tea, that works well. Coffee is good with that. I like it better with scotch than I do bourbon, but I mean, I always like bourbon. Okay, so that's probably the Toro Gordo, or no, not Toro Gordo, Toro Grande. And if it happens to be the Toro Grande, yeah, that's nice. Oh goodness, Eden, anywhere with the Scotch is going to go good with a Don Pepin. I personally would go less on the peaty side, but that's just my preference for Scotch. That has nothing to do with whether it pairs well with the Scotch or not. I find that they pair well with all the Scotches, everything from Hibiki all the way down to the lowest gut rot Scotch that you can find. Woo! Canadian Club and Diet Coke. I think I would skip the Diet Coke part. Never was a fan of Diet Coke. That aspartame taste that it leaves in my mouth just, ah. I'd prefer pumpkin spice over Diet Coke, and that's saying something. Not actually true. I'll actually drink Diet Coke if that's all that's available, whereas I won't touch anything with pumpkin spice. By the way, did y'all hear me the other day when I told y'all that HEB came out with a pumpkin spice bacon? How can you ruin bacon? I mean, come on. It's bacon. Don't screw with bacon. Now, the La Bijou will do that. Ooh, Bob's going with the bourbon that's not a bourbon. Y'all do realize Crown would be bourbon if it was made inside the United States. That's the only thing holding back Crown from being bourbon. So Crown is closer to being bourbon than Jack Daniels. Call it how you see it. Canadian bourbon. That's funny. It is pretty good stuff. Now, I wouldn't be mixing it with sweet tea, but that's because I have diabetes in the family, and I probably shouldn't even be drinking. And things with sugar, I shouldn't be having at all. As I take another big swig of a corn syrup laden root beer. But I got out of drinking sweet tea just because I was trying to collect what I could of all my possible ways to get out of having to have diabetes later in life, and I saw that the amount of sugar put into tea to make it sweet was ridiculous. And I liked hot tea, which had no sugar in it. So I started drinking iced tea even without sugar, and there it is. Didn't have to have the sweetener in it anymore. Dad, there is some truth probably in that. I used to run. I used to run a lot. But when I shattered a kneecap, I no longer ran. And then I put on a good 50 pounds, and well, now I'm old, fat, and lazy instead of just old and lazy. But I still run one part of me. I run my mouth. Hell yeah. I found I can talk for hours. I used to be very self-conscious. I couldn't talk in front of people. Couldn't talk in front of people. Couldn't sing in front of people. Screw it. I couldn't even hardly talk to girls at all. I went in the Army and I figured something out. They ain't gonna take your birthday away. James, some people are going to have diabetes whether they are skinny and in shape or not. Genetics. You can't get away from what's already in there. Your RNA and DNA is going to control that. I mean, just like these people that stay in shape and work out and do everything they can to be healthy and all that, and they still die young from a heart attack. My father-in-law played hockey every Sunday, stayed in good shape. He died on the ice playing hockey. Massive heart attack. No known heart disease in his family. He was just genetically predisposed at it, and it was done. All right, Mike, I will email you. Yes, sir. You have my promise. I will email you. Sometime during the Cane Rod show, I will scribble out a quick email. I promise. But I'm on my emailing device right now, so I'm not going to email you from here. Right now. Eden, childhood diabetes is massively hard on kids, honestly. It affects a lot of things. What is childhood diabetes? Type 1, type 2, type 3, something like that? I don't remember. It's one of them or the other. And your body's inability to process sugars in a normal manner is all diabetes really is. But you think about it. Take a kid down to the store and get them an ice cream, and it can end up putting them in the hospital. Type 1. Okay. And type 2 is adult onset, and then type 3 is basically you have done zero to try and curb your body's natural attempt to eventually kill you with the sugar you pour into your system. Well, type 2 and type 3 runs in the family. I'm probably going to still end up with diabetes, but the women don't end up with diabetes. It's just the guys. Damn it. Mike, I know you like Virginias. I'm going to tell you, this Stumbo's Yum Yum Num Nums stuff is fantastic. Okay, Eden, if your cigar cutter just called it quits, get the sharpest knife you have. Once you have the sharpest knife you have, tell me if it is pointed on the end or flat on the end. And what I mean by flat on the end is like this would be considered flat. It does not have a point. You wouldn't stab somebody with this. Whereas a pointed one on the end is more like this, and if you stab somebody on the end, they're probably going to bleed out and die. Let me know what you have, and I will try to help you cut your cigar without mutilating your cigar. There is some technique. Okay, is it flat or is it pointed? Oh, Mike, so all right, you already know. That stuff is good. Okay, so it's pointed. Okay. Hold your knife with your finger near the point in such a way that it's not going to dig in deeply. You don't try to dig with it. You're going to just make small little holes as if you're kind of stitching it, like you would be sewing it if you were trying to sew up a small hole, but you're just going to just barely. And you want to keep it not straight up and down. You want to angle it into the cigar so that it would be a little bit over on one side. I will slightly use this pipe as an example. You want to come in at an angle, but at the very top where it's rounded, and you just want to just make little bitty holes and go around in a circle. And then if you, even if it's not complete, you're fine. And then you, the very top where it's rounded. So if this was the cap of the cigar, not the side of the cigar where it's long flat like this, but round at the top, and you just go around a small hole and make little holes, just small little holes. And then the next time around you make right on the edge of those holes another set of little holes, and basically increase those little holes until they all the way get around. Eventually you will start feeling the cap trying to lift off. Don't dig it out. Just keep making those little cuts until it actually fully loosens itself from the cigar. Stombo, second pipe this size. This is like the general size cob today. Stuff is so good. And here I was trying to tell Mike how good it was, and he was like, I already know, dumbass. Okay, so if the cutter ruined the cap, just do your best, as I was kind of trying to tell you. And again, like I said, just work little holes, just small little holes until those holes become all the way around, and that should take care of it. Now I'm going to tell people, if you are not smoking torpedoes or pigtails, a Zycar punch works wonderfully well. I've got two right here. They're almost always with me. I keep them on the clip. They stay clipped to me. If you are working against a pigtail or a torpedo type tip, and by a torpedo tip, they will be shaped kind of like the scoop on a check tool. That's all that you're going to be able to see. I don't have any here with me, so I can't show any to you. Zycar is spelled X-I-C-A-R. Let me type that in real quick. Make sure I got that in right correctly. That'll be X-I-C-A-R. Not C-A-C, C-A-R. Damn, psoriasis is kicking. I mean, damn. So X-I-C-A-R. Now, I'll tell you that the Zycar punches are a little bit expensive on the front end when you start looking at them as a price thing. But when it gets dull, you can mail it back to them and they will mail you back a sharpened or new one, which is what you're paying for when you pay that extra money up front. You're paying that you never have to buy another one. If you have a punch, you take the two ends and it's kind of like you're trying to fit in your stem into your pipe. You just twist as you give it a little pressure, and it will cut right in and it will open up a hole, and then when you pull out the little plug piece, you're ready to smoke. To try and teach somebody how to use a cigar cutter without being there, for lack of better words, the best thing you can do is get a flat surface and you place your cutter directly to that flat surface. You open it up, you put your cigar directly into that hole, no angles, you try to go as straight in as you can, and then you close the cutter. And that is true with all except for the XO type cutter. Or if you get a V cutter, your cigar is only going to go a certain amount into the area that it will allow it to cut anyways, because all V cutters come with a stop, more or less. And then you use the V cutter. If you are trying to use a V cut, if you're trying to get a V cut, which, as Big Country just said, it'll cut a little wedge out like a piece of pie. The best ones on the market are made by Calibre. Now, if you're asking me to spell Calibre, it starts with a C and it ends with an I, and there's a bunch of letters in between, and I don't really remember how to exactly spell it. There's Dan calling it the dick tip, whereas I always called it the coochie cut. Mike knows it's Calibre. The Calibre V cut. Boris, no, it starts with a C. I am fairly certain Mike spelled it correctly, but the Calibre V cut is the best one on the market at present. They even have one that's around $100 that one side cuts a V and the other side cuts flat. If you know you prefer a V cut, don't worry about getting one of those. If you have no clue on whether you like a V cut or a flat cut, it might be worth your time to get one. If you know that you like different shapes of cigars, torpedo tips are great to cut with a V cut, and a little more difficult to cut with a flat cut. And with a round tip cigar, I think that a flat cut works better than a V cut. So for people like me who knows there's a different tool for different types of cigars, that's where that one tool to do two different types of cut really comes in to play for me. But I'm still always going to have my punch, which is ready to go. And a punch is great for if you have a flat capped cigar. Not flat capped paper, but a flat capped cigar. You will find those on the CAO Big Block 770, and there's a whole line of CAOs out there that are flat capped, and then there are some called Romacraft. The Romacraft Cro-Magnum. Don't cut it at all. Use a punch. Steph says she likes a round cut. Oh, she doesn't like a round cut. She likes a V cut or a punch. So for Steph not liking a round cut, then if she was to get a V cut, I would suggest the Calibre, and a punch, I would suggest the Zycar. Well, if you don't like the round cut at all, you can go with the V cut or a punch, and that should take care of, well, one or the other is going to take care of almost every cigar you'll ever run across. And remember, if a V cut does not cut enough, you're still having a little bit of a hard draw, turn it 90 degrees and cut it again, making an X, or as best you can make an X. Don't just try to nibble another notch right next to that same notch. You'll only end up messing up your cap, and then there it is. You're watching your cigar unravel as you try to smoke it. What would I recommend for a round cut? Well, round cut, basically the guillotine style cutter, they're all pretty much a standard. Really, it kind of, you have to think, do you want it to slide together like this, or slide together more of a pinch motion? I'll see if I can find my other cutter real quick. It should be right here. There we go. I like the Zycar XI cutter. No, not just because it's an American flag. I did get this one because it's the American flag, but it has one control to unlock it, which opens it up. If you're unexperienced and you don't know how much to nibble off, you set that cutter directly onto a flat surface, like I said before, and then you just squeeze the two sides together and it will cut that cigar without being too extravagant. If you really know what you're doing, you can hold it like this and put it in there and eyeball it and just squeeze it with one hand and you're good to go. But again, Zycar, when you're buying a Zycar product, you're paying for the ability to mail it back to them and they will send you a new one. Yeah, okay, mailing it might cost you a bit, but it's going to cost you a whole lot less than buying a new one. Now, when you mail it, of course, you're going to be a couple of weeks without it, so you might want to have more than one cutter available to you. or you will want to pick up some cheapo, super cheap plastic with a razor blade. If all else fails, go get an X-Acto knife and practice cutting your cigars using a really sharp knife. And, you know, an X-Acto knife, hobby knife of some sort like that works just fine. Yes, Big Country. Some people do brush and dip their cigars. Sherry has been used for years. Tequila is often enough used. Bourbon and Scotch are also often enough used. I don't recommend you set it in there for any amount of time. Literally, if you're going to do that, it's dip, pull. If you leave it in there too long, the cellulose glue, it's just a sugar glue is what it is. It's going to allow your cigar to come unraveled. So you really want to just in and out real quick. Don't waste time trying to get it to soak up into the cigar. You just dip it and pull it right away. Oh, it's the part where you put your mouth. You're never gonna. If you're trying to dip or brush a cigar, it's always on the side where you put your mouth, because you're wanting to get a little bit of that flavor from the drink that you're having with every drag of that cigar. At least that's the general consensus of how it's done. Yeah, it can be quite nice, but if you dip it too many times, it's just going to start coming unraveled. That little bit of a sugar substance that they use for a glue is not good with a lot of moisture. So if it gets all the way through underneath, it will start coming unraveled. I've seen some guys ruin some really nice cigars by not paying attention to what they were doing. Ron, I also always have more than one sharp pocket knife in my pocket. I can always cut a cigar. And in fact, there are some pocket knives that are specifically made for cigars. I've had a few. I don't recommend them, honestly. I've never had them that cut as well as a Zycar or a Calibre or even a pocket knife. One of the things that I've also seen that works really well, Zycar makes a pair of scissors that works phenomenally well. You hold your cigar straight on as you can into the blades, and you give that, as you give it just a little pressure, you give it about a quarter turn, and then you clip it. And that works great. That's very old-fashioned in style, but because they work so well, it's hard not to appreciate how well they actually work. Cigars can be bitter. It depends upon who's blended your cigars. Unfortunately, if whatever blender is not full aware of what they're doing, they can ruin a cigar just by putting too much of one leaf when they're bunching, or if they don't know what they're doing. I've often found the Dom Pepin is a little bit on the bitter side, which is why I've always said that they pair better with Scotch than they do with the with bourbon. It's just hard to say. I can't tell you that it's been stored improperly. Sometimes they just come off that way. And really it depends upon, for the Dom Pepin, for me it always depended upon what time of year that they were rolled. For whatever reason, if I got ones that were rolled between September and December, I wouldn't do it. And the only way you can actually know that is you'd have to look on the box, because the Dom Pepins they actually have a date, and you have to know what their date code is, and I've got to see it to be able to explain it. I know what it is, but trying to explain it to somebody without getting the box out and showing it to you is going to be almost impossible. And I don't have a box of Dom Pepins, so I can't do that for you right now. Boris, I also don't really find that dipping cigars is for me. I tried it a few times and just didn't really see it as being something I wanted to do again. Right, so it definitely can vary from batch to batch, because as the leaf is aged, once it becomes aged to what they have chosen, how many years, months, days, whatever, that they're going to let it dry and age and all of that, plus how close to the center of the stack and how close to the outside. Was it aged in a room after it was rolled? Was that room, were you right against the wall, and did the cedar kind of soak into it, or was it a little bit farther away from that? Even as much as in the box, if it was right up against the side or if it was more towards the middle. There's a lot of factors that go into finding your ideal cigar. Difficult to try and exactly predict that unless we've talked many times about which cigar you've had that you say, oh, this is my perfect cigar. Eden, you should feel comfortable while smoking a cigar. I go with the 3 puffs and count the 60. So, puff, puff, puff. and you're getting the feel that, oh, the cigar's starting to go out. Well, puff 3 more times. Or puff, 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 and then wait the full 60. Just after a while, you get kind of to a pace where it feels comfortable to you. If it starts becoming bitter, slow down a little bit. If it doesn't have enough flavor, speed up a little bit. It's kind of up to everybody and their own feel for how you get that. Yeah, if you get dizzy and fall over or start puking, then you're definitely toking on it too damn fast. By the way, Cane Rod just said he's gone live, according to my dinger. I hope y'all all heard that. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been my pleasure having y'all here. Hopefully the cigar talk didn't run too much for you there. I'm sorry if it did. Do remember, I am here to try and help you pick your best cigars and your best options for getting those cigars smoked in a nice, easy manner. I've got enough information. Why not share it? For those of us who felt like I stayed on this cigar subject for too damn long, well, you are always welcome to hit the end button on your side, and I'll miss you when you're gone, but I'm not going to quit trying to help people out in cigars. But for now, we are going to end this pretty quickly. Y'all take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. We're doing a great job with that. We'll just continue. As per always, y'all remember, long lives, big bowls, and long ashes. Y'all take care. I'll see you over at Cane Rod's here in just a minute. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.